Welcome back, everybody. This is Zach with New England Sports Talk, and today we are recapping the 2019 draft profile of Jarrett Culver, 6'6", 195-pound sophomore guard out of Texas Tech. One of my favorite prospects coming into this draft. My team is the Lakers. We got the 4th overall pick. I would not have a problem with them picking Jarrett Culver at number 4. So let's talk about his profile and let's kind of go over what he's all about. Now, as always, just remember to hit that like button and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. If you hit that bell notification, you will get updates every single time I post out a video, or at least a large majority of the time I post out a video for you guys to kind of keep up to date with what's going on in the NBA and coming up to the 2019 draft. Now, let's talk about some of his strengths right off the bat. So this guy is NBA ready. He can come in and he can perform at a high level. Maybe he doesn't start on day one, but he's ready to be in the rotation and really make his mark from the get-go. He's a solid athlete, and that's really what helps him kind of get in that position to be able to contribute immediately to any team. Now, his really big calling card, in my opinion, would be he's a very good defender, whether it's steals, blocks, and even rebounds as well too. He does a really good job as far as positioning, knowing the schemes of the other team, and being able to, be effective on the defensive end. And he's got a good frame and size for him to be able to be a good defender, especially in the next level. Like I said, he's 6'6", 195 pounds. Not bad. He's gonna have to bulk up a little bit to get, when he gets, acclimated into the NBA and that kind of thing. But it's got a good foundation basically. As far as the offensive side of the ball, the dude can score really well in most situations. He can score off the ball, so coming off the screens or in any kind of motion offense, cutting to the basket, anything like that, or even off the dribble as well too. He's got a really good triple threat kind of motion that he does. He's not bad at all, especially off the dribble. He can get separation pretty easily, in my opinion. Now, some of the growth areas, again, this is not a weakness area for him. This is not a weakness area for any of the profiles, but just a growth area because, that's what they need to grow on. But the growth area for Jarrett would be he sometimes can be a streaky shooter, and I'll kind of mention, some of the numbers specifically for him this past year, majority in the NCAA tournament, and kind of show you where he was a little bit streaky and where he had some really big shots in the NCAA tournament, but as a whole, he was a little bit streaky, and we'll talk about that in just a second as well. Also, he's an average free throw shooter, so you have to shoot free throws, you have to make free throws. It just seems like over the last maybe 5 to 6 years or so, the NBA players just have not been as effective at the free throw line as they once were, like in the early 2000s or early 2010s as well, but in the 2000s and that kind of thing. It seems like there's been a really big drop off where these star players do not shoot free throws effectively. I promise you, if you want to be in this league, if you can shoot free throws consistently, you have a pretty good shot as far as staying in the league and being effective on a team and getting solid minutes and being a rotational piece, if not more. So that's one thing he needs to improve on is free throw. He shot 70%. It looks like in the 2019 season. So something to build on, of course. Now, as always, we're going to talk about some of the key matchups that the prospect had. Now, one of his best games probably all year long. There are several. There were actually several of them. But his highest scoring output, I wanted to bring this up, against Iowa State on March 9th. That was the last game of the regular season. He put up 31 points. He shot 63% from the field and 4 for 8 from three-point range. So not bad at all. He did shoot pretty good in that game, but he stuffed the stat sheet. So if you go back and look at all of his numbers, I didn't write down all of his numbers, honestly, but if you look at some of his numbers here, you're going to see that he really stuffed the stat sheet in a lot of games that he plays. Now, some of the struggles, well, actually, before I get into kind of the struggles, let's talk about another big game that he had in the tournament, and that was on March 28th against Michigan. He had 22 points. 9 of 19 shooting, so not terrible at all. That's pretty good. And then almost 50%. Well, I guess that is close to 50%. Yeah. And then just only 1 turnover, so not bad. He had a very effective game, shooting the ball, protecting the ball, that kind of thing. Not bad at all. Now, the last maybe 4 games or so that I wanted to mention here were all kind of his struggle areas in the NCAA tournament. So March 24th, he played Buffalo. He had 16 points, but he shot 6 of 17 shooting with 5 turnovers. That's not going to fly. And I'm going to kind of recap this in just a second, but I'm just reading this off real quick for you guys. March 30th, play Gonzaga, 19 points, 5 of 19 shooting, 3 turnovers. Michigan State on April 6th, he had 10 points, 3 of 12 shooting, and 3 turnovers. And then obviously the championship game against Virginia, he had 15 points, 5 of 22 shooting, and 3 turnovers. Now, to give you a big kind of like overview of what all those numbers were, his entire NCAA, I added up the numbers and stuff. He went 28 of 89 shooting. That's only 31% shooting with 15 turnovers in 5 games. So that's not going to fly. That's not going to. That's what I was talking about. He needs to be a little bit more of an effective shooter, an effective scorer, and not so streaky. And I think that's the only really big knock on his game, except for it all has to do with shooting, whether it's free throws or if it's just not being streaky. I think he can do it too. I think that he's in a good position. When he gets to the next level, he's getting ready for the draft combine. I think the combine's actually already on right now, but he's got to have to show what he can do, especially if he's going to probably get into the number 4 pick, number 5 pick range, that area, because Hunter, Darius Garland, there's several other players that could move up. There's even more. Kobe White. I like Kobe White a lot, but that's just me. But in order to outprove himself beyond those players, he's got to be able to shoot effectively, because there's players who are good defensively, but like for example Andre Roberson, if he can't shoot, he's essentially taken out of the offense, and it's really bad for the entire offensive scheme that the Thunder run sometimes. So he's got to be able to shoot effectively if he wants to be in the league. If he doesn't shoot effectively, he probably still can get a role in the NBA if he's good, if he's elite defensively. But that being said, you got to shoot. You got to be able to shoot. So that's just my opinion. But anyways, let's talk about some of the different things about him as well. He was the Big 12 Player of the Year in 2019, so that came as a no shock. He did really good all year long. He did also help lead the Texas Tech to their first Final Four appearance in their school history. So again, not bad. He's a very good leader. He really has a good chemistry with his teammates, and if you see him in interviews and things like that, really fantastic player, a good guy as well too. And you can kind of tell that in his conferences and things like that he talks about, in his game as well too. One other thing that I thought was kind of interesting, and I don't know if this is just a personality thing that we're talking about with him, is he committed to his hometown team. Now, Texas Tech is not necessarily elite at basketball. Typically, you don't consider them an elite like top team in the NCAA. He kept with his hometown team, and that really helped him a lot too, I think. He had a pretty big progression from year 1 to year 2, and I start to wonder, like, is that just kind of like a personality thing of him? Is he more of a loyal guy? Does he want to keep with his hometown team? I feel like that's stuff that a team would look at. So you committed to your good prospect. You committed to your hometown team. Why did he do it? I don't know, but I think that if I had to guess, it might be something with his personality. He's more of a loyal top guy and more of kind of like that type of thing. So I think that's something that they'll look at as well too. It's something to note as well. It's something that's important to kind of think about. And if I was asking him questions in an interview, that would be something that I would bring up, like, why did you commit to Texas Tech over some of the other schools, and kind of see what his answers were or that kind of thing. But anyways, guys, let's wrap this video up with the 2018-2019 stats for him. He averaged 18.5 points a game, 6.5 rebounds a game, almost 4 assists. He had 3.7, and from the field he shot 46.1%. So not bad at all. He shot a lot better in the regular season than he did in the NCAA tournament, like I said. But again, maybe it's just nerves. Maybe that's all it was. I don't know. And obviously he played some really fantastic teams in the NCAA tournament with Michigan, Gonzaga, Michigan State, and of course Virginia as well too. So it might have just been a defensive thing, honestly. As far as a comparison player for him, man, I don't know. He's going to be in the league though. This one was kind of tough. He's going to be in the league. I don't think there's any question about it. Low end. And this isn't really a low end. This is a pretty good player if you're him. But I would say low end, probably Evan Turner. High end, probably like very high end, probably like Paul Pierce, I feel like, or Joe Johnson or something like that. Like Joe Johnson didn't necessarily have a Hall of Fame career, but Paul Pierce did. So, I think that it could be one of those two players, or low end Evan Turner. He can still be effective defensively. He's a very, very versatile when you're with your schemes. So not bad. A very good player that you want to have on your team and can help give you winning basketball every single night. So that was it, guys. As always, guys, remember to like and subscribe. Like I said, leave a comment. Let me know what you thought about Jarrett Culver, and do you think your team should take him? Thanks, guys.